So there's been rumours for quite some time now about the upgrading capacity at the Emirates Stadium. And it looks as if there is going to be talks about that moving forward. It's quite exciting as far as Arsenal fans are concerned in terms of how many are on our actual waiting list. But it doesn't look like the capacity is the only thing that they're talking about. It actually looks like the Cronkies want to renovate the whole of the Emirates Stadium. Now, we know the Emirates Stadium is beautiful, as you can see. But when you look at the actual wear and tear over the last 17, 18 years, you can actually see the need now for upgrades. Certain fans that have gone into the ground, you can see that it is showing its age now. And of course, everybody compares all stadiums to the newest of stadiums, right? Spurs has got a fantastic stadium. Fair play to them. But it's going to be. It is brand new. Old Trafford was probably that once. The Emirates was that once. Wembley was that once. But over the years, naturally, wear and tear starts to show. And I think the Emirates in parts of the stadium now is definitely showing evidence of that. As a season ticket holder myself, I can go there and see that some of the seats, some of the wear and tear of the rows, the seat numbers on seats are all starting to either show its age or actually start in some cases to disappear. So it needs a little bit of TLC, and it looks like that's coming. The Cronkies have been quite clear and have stated what they are going to be doing to renovate the Emirates. And I thought I'd share this with you because I thought it was quite exciting. Now, I don't know when this is going to be planned on happening, but it does look like it's going to be sooner rather than later. There's a lot of people on the waiting list that are absolutely desperate to get their season ticket, or just one or two games this season would be fantastic for them, right? But actually, there's a lot more than just the capacity that they're looking to improve. So let's take a look at it. When it is wet, it is not a great night at the Emirates. And I don't want to compare it to Old Trafford, but there has been scenes, as you can see here, of fans getting soaking wet during the season, where times maybe at night or in day, the roof has been spilling over the edges and it has been getting certain rows of the stadium absolutely soaked. That is the first thing that they are looking to try to do. And they're going to be doing this during off-season periods and throughout the season to try to get the roof as best repaired as possible at the Emirates Stadium. Naturally, you will see all stadiums that have this. Yes, we take the mick out of Old Trafford and Manchester United because at the moment it's an easy thing to do. But when you look at what Arsenal actually have, it's not actually that different sometimes in certain parts of the stadium when it is hammering it down with water. So that is something that we do need to look at. And that is something they're going to be repairing pretty much straight away, which is good news. The other thing we need to talk about is the new HD screens that are going to be implemented and put in place at the Emirates Stadium. This will allow the screens to be accessible to everywhere in the stadium. How many times have you been up on a friendly, or perhaps you've got a season ticket right at the very, very top, and it's very difficult to see the screens? That's going to be changing. They're going to allow every single seat to be able to see a screen somewhere in the stadium. That's really, really good. And that's something that absolutely needs to be happening. At a stadium that size, a stadium that expensive, you need to be able to look at the screen whenever you can. And in some occasions, you have to actually move your body to see the screen. That's going to be changing, which is, of course, really good. So the screens are not just going to be there for the fans to see at lower. Actually, wherever you're sitting in terms of the upper, it's going to be including the upper tier that are going to be visible and able to access these screens. And that's got to be a massive, massive plus for sure. The other thing that's happening is new LED lighting. Now, we've seen the lighting at the Emirates. As you can see here, it's phenomenal. We look at it and we think, wow, what an unbelievable spectacle it is, particularly at night time. And at night games in the Champions League, it is superb. But there is going to be night game visibility improvements, which means that the lighting and LED lighting will be improved. There'll be more of it, and you might even see it improve in and around the stadium as well. That's definitely got to be an improvement. Next up, hospitality. Now, I'm not like lead judges. I don't get to go to hospitality every weekend, right? But those that do say it's fantastic. But actually, the hospitality is going to have a complete overhaul. We're going to see new lounges. We're going to see more food. We're going to see more drink, and it will make the experience even more special. So if you are lucky enough to go into hospitality, then trust me, you should be excited because the upgrades there are going to be phenomenal. Then I look at the accessibility at Arsenal. I think Arsenal are a club that definitely take accessibility seriously. Whether you have a disability or whether you are just walking into the ground as the first time experience, we want everything to be accessible. And that, I have to say, has always been pretty good at the Arsenal. But the Emirates Stadium is actually improving on this. They're going to be improving on things such as wheelchair access and accessibility options that people may have walking around the concourse and also when sat in their seat. So for me, this has got to be something that's looked at and looked at importantly. And they are definitely saying that it is vital that everybody has an experience to remember at the Emirates. And that is something that the ownership are really, really keen on making happen. Then we look at the exterior. The appearance at the grounds has always been something that I think has looked fantastic. When we first built the Emirates, there was a lot of concrete posts, there was a lot of there was a lot of blanket around the stadium. That has since been improved on. You've got players around the ground now, you've got statues around the ground now, you've got quite a lot of canvases that have been put on, such as fans, such as history. And as you walk around the Emirates, you really do get to feel Arsenal as a football club and the history of the club itself. That is definitely going to be improved. And there are suggestions that there may even be some interactive elements. There may be some upgrades and modernization that when you actually walk around, you can actually visibly see some of maybe the goals that were scored. Maybe there's some VR, maybe there's some games that's going to be interactive for young fans to actually enjoy as you walk around the stadium. And that will be open all days of the week, not just for match days. That is something that would definitely attract more tourists, definitely attract more people, and definitely attract the fans that perhaps have got something they want to see a little bit different in relation to actually going to the match day experience. So that's got to be a massive improvement. We are going to see some dynamic visuals and some virtual reality features that are coming to the Emirates. And that is going to be something that is really, really interesting. And it is all going to be about Arsenal's history. Maybe it'll look at the Invincible season. Maybe it'll look at times at Highbury. Maybe it will even look at some of the experiences that we've had at great games at the Emirates. But it will all be to do with Arsenal's history. And that's got to absolutely be a fantastic feature moving forward. Something that is going to be upgraded upon is the turnstile points. Now, there is access points at the turnstiles currently. As you can see, everybody waiting, everybody queuing, fans trying to get in. And some fans do leave it late, but some fans get to games late. If you get in early, it's not a problem. But trust me, when you're going through bag searches, if you've got them, when you're going through searches for the turnstile and you just want to get into the stadium, it can be incredibly frustrating. How do they improve that? Well, it's going to be very difficult. They are suggesting that potentially they make the area bigger, they make the access points more accessible, and they make it a hell of a lot easier and efficient when going through your turnstile. That's going to be something that's needed 100%. Then we look at the concourse upgrades. That's going to be something that fans are going to be extremely happy about. When you're in the concourse, as you can see, it's absolutely lit. When you go in there, there is fantastic engagement. There's chatting. There's excitement before the game. People are eating. People are drinking. People are singing songs. It's going to improve the morale by what they're going to be putting in on concourses. The first thing they're going to be doing is upgrading on more screens. There's TV screens in there, absolutely fantastic. They've upgraded on the size of them already. They're going to put more in there. There's going to be an opportunity for you to be able to see and watch whatever you want in there, whether there's a game going on, whether you're watching the game from the turnstile at half time for the first half of it, or actually whether you're watching another game that's on beforehand that you're actually looking forward to seeing before the game. You're going to be able to see a lot more of the TV screens going up, which definitely will improve the experience before a game. The other thing that's happening is improvement on food and drinks. The amount of people that have said the food is just way too expensive for what it is. You're paying £8 for half a slice of pizza or whatever it may be. You're paying £7 or £8 for a few chicken nuggets. You're paying ridiculous prices for beer, which a lot of people do not like. Camden Hells and the Pale Ale there. But there's going to be improvements on food and improvements on drink. We've already started to see that on match days now. You can get pie and mash in the evenings on Champions League games. You can get different drinks and food at some of the friendlies that we've been to during the Emirates Cup. There was chips that you could buy. There was sausage and chips you could buy. And it's starting to look at what food people actually do want. And it's starting to offer that now at the Emirates. And that is definitely something that has to be improved upon. There's going to be improved lighting, less time of waiting, and more availability for access points to get your food and drink. How many times do you come out of the Emirates at half time and you've got to wait in a queue that by the time you get to the start of it, the second half would have kicked off? They're trying to improve that. They're trying to find ways in how they can make that better. They're going to provide more staff. They're going to provide more of these stalls, more beer tents, and definitely more places where you can access your food and your drink at halftime, before the game, and after the game. So that's something that absolutely has to happen. Then we look at how this is going to be improved and when this is going to be improved. What is the timeline for this? Well, it's going to be throughout the international breaks. It's going to be throughout the season. It's going to be out of season as well. But actually, what we're going to be doing is pretty much looking at potentially improving this. It seems throughout while the season is happening. So only really match days is when they're not working on this. It will be improved, and I think we'll see the improvements quite quickly. Certainly within the next season, or definitely within the next 2 seasons, I think we will see definite changes and renovations at the Emirates Stadium, and that's going to be massive. Of course, everybody has watched this because they want to know when the capacity is looking to be extended. And it does look like there is going to be an upgrade and discussions are taking place. Now, it does look like that there's a capacity upgrade that they're in talks with. And if you can see here, the actual conversations that were taking place with the Cronkies in relation to what may happen, you can actually read it for yourself. Josh Kroenke was actually spoken to on the 30th of July, and it was about the possible expanding the Emirates in terms of its capacity. He said it would be premature to talk about any plans in depth, but the internal conversations are starting to occur about the stadium. It's not an easy renovation, but we see the possibilities of what's there. Our goal was to always be to compete for the Premier League title, because if you look around the world, if you're competing for the title year in, year out, you're competing for everything else. Arsenal supporters have speculated that the capacity would be increased to 75,000 if the redevelopment was given planning permission. Now, what does that mean? And how are we going to actually upgrade on the Emirates? How do we get more seats in? There's certain ways in which it can happen. At the moment, I believe there's around 20 to 30,000 people on the season ticket waiting list. That's far too much. That means the Emirates can go up to 100,000 and still we'd only just about fill it with just the season ticket waiting list people. That's without anyone else that wants to attend. So how do we increase the capacity? Well, there are ways we can do this. As the roof is not significantly attached to the main bowl structure, it is believed that it could be removed and replaced in order to provide space for more rows of seating at the top, either as a continuation of the upper tier or as a new fifth tier. We also have, either side of each television sets, you actually have some space there, which we could build more seats upon. Putting additional rows at the bottom of the current tiers has also been suggested as a possibility, as there's a significant space currently between the front row and the edge of the pitch. This may require the lowering of the playing surface as seen as the SoFi Stadium. Now, the roof structure has already started to show its age, with fans getting soaked by water pouring off of it during heavy rainfall. So look, it may be that it's a completely new renovation, and people will say, well, how long is that going to take? I think it will take in stages, and I think we may have to attend games where scaffolding is put in place. But if that means that we're getting more capacity, then so be it. If we can remove the roof and actually add more seating, that's the easiest way, surely. If you had to start lowering pitches and adding more seats at the front, so be it. But it will take time. The Emirates Stadium needs to increase its capacity. At 60,000 at the time, it sounded fantastic. That was 20 years ago. The club's grown by that commercially. Global fan base has grown. And Arsenal now have a waiting list, which is really, really long. We need to be looking at this seriously, in my opinion, because for me, fans want to see an upgrade. Fans want to see TLC. Fans want to see the stadium being kept as classy as the club. And for me, it's something that absolutely needs to be happening. So I'm excited. I'm going to be keeping in touch with what may be happening, looking at the news, keeping an eye on how things develop with this, because it looks like it could be happening. If you've enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, hit the like and the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 30k, which is our next target. Make sure you hit the like button as well. Hit the notification bell for more videos like this, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, people.